Afternoon, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. It's Thursday, August 28th, with news in Arkansas. Let's start with what an old friend of mine used to call spinach journalism. You know, it might not taste very good, but it's really good for you. The legislature today had a long committee meeting packed with people to talk about one of these acronym programs, CFCO, Community First Care Option. I'll try and make it simple. This is a program provided by the Affordable Care Act. You might know it fairly or unfairly as Obamacare, that is aimed at providing federal money to moving people with a range of disabilities and older people out of nursing homes, out of institutions, and into community or home care. I think most people tend to think that if you can manage home care or community care, that's preferable than institution, although sometimes some people really need institutional care. In any event, though this seems like it should be a motherhood and apple pie issue, it is not. The Koch political organization is leading the opposition for the simple reason, number one, it's Obamacare. Number two, it's more federal spending. They think if they can't stop at the federal level, since the spending was approved at that level, perhaps they can stop states from authorizing it. The state of Arkansas's Human Service Department wants to go ahead with it. It says it will save Arkansas something like $30 million a year over the next 12 years because of the savings and costs against the institutional care. But more than money, there's something like 1,400 people on a waiting list for this service who could get vital care if this program were to be approved. Today's meeting was just informational. There wasn't a decision made, but I urge you, if you're in the mood for a little spinach, to eat some when you get a chance to read about it. We have some coverage on our blog, and see what you think about this Obamacare program, good or bad. In other political news today, Rasmussen has another poll out. I remind you that Rasmussen has a reputation as something of a Republican-biased polling firm. Again, fair or unfair. Today they have an interesting report that has Mike Ross, the Democrat, leading Asa Hutchinson, the Republican, 46-44 in the race for governor. This is the first lead for Ross in an independent poll, and I can't remember when, a 9-point swing for Rasmussen. It's a 750-person sample, supposedly likely voters. I can't tell you whether you should believe it or not believe it, but it certainly upsets the narrative for Republicans who've been enjoying a steady lead for Asa Hutchinson. Perhaps Mike Ross's negative advertising against Asa Hutchinson is having an effect. Perhaps simply more people are getting to know Mike Ross who didn't enjoy the same statewide name recognition that Asa Hutchinson did when he entered the race. This follows, by the way, a poll released late yesterday by Rasmussen in the U.S. Senate race, which showed Mark Pryor with a 1-point lead over Tom Cotton, his Republican challenger in the race for U.S. Senate. Again, this is a statistical dead heat, but it upsets the Republican storyline that Tom Cotton leads in all the polls. Here's an independent poll in which he didn't lead. One more piece of political news. It's a small story, but I think it's indicative of a much bigger story. The leader in Jacksonville has reported that the Republican member of the County Election Commission in Lonoke County is fighting a proposal to have early voting across the county. He's happy to pay for early voting in Cabot, which is a heavy Republican city, but he doesn't think the county can afford to have early voting down in Carlisle and England, which historically happen to vote more often for Democratic candidates. I think I can see what he's up to here. It sounds like vote suppression to me. The commission is going to meet again Friday. If the Republican member of this commission really believes that everybody should be able to vote and provide as convenient access as possible, he'll vote to let people in England get to vote as easily as people in his hometown of Cabot does. Elsewhere, turn to Fayetteville. Fayetteville's got more football games. Fayetteville's got a civil rights ordinance. And as of this weekend, it's going to have Uber, the car service driven by a cell phone app. They're providing free rides through Labor Day if you sign up for the Uber app and dial them up. It's unclear yet whether they're going to plan to meet any of the taxi cab regulations, which has at least one local cab company in Fayetteville upset. Finally, a really big topic emerged on our blog this morning. Heated discussion there and also on our Facebook page. It arises from a story by Slate, the online magazine, in which they endeavored to name the state dessert of all the 50 states. Somehow or another, this pack of Yankees came up with red velvet cake for Arkansas. I love red velvet cake, but the state dessert of Arkansas, I don't think so. We've got fried pies, we got pecan pies, we got blackberry cobbler, we got my personal favorite, the strawberry shortcake. So for the news today, that's it. Go get you some shortcake. I'm Max Brantley.